Yeah, a lot of systems. There's been a preparation ever since Kennedy was assassinated for this time period. But now, will it be the end of this year? Will it be 2023? I think it's going to be between now and sometime between the end of 2023. All these shifts and all these changes are going to happen. And along with it, what's going to be occurring is that as the systems collapse, a new system, something that was created for the benefit of all of humanity, is already in place. Now, you have to understand, and I need you to understand this, there is only one timeline, just one. I know there's people out there talking about all these other timelines. It isn't true. There's one.
The financial risk, but interconnection in this space is also particularly important. So, so how do you think about this interconnections within the financial system in terms of the cost or the impact on the financial system?
Well, first of all, Lisa, I think you're absolutely right. When you think about cyber risk, there are two kinds of risks or costs to the system. There's the direct cost. There's a problem, an incursion. You need to address the incursion. You need to put a patch in place. Those are relatively modest costs in the scheme of things. But the real big risks and costs are the interconnectedness risks that you described. So if you think about, our financial system is really tightly interwoven. And if we have a really bad cyber attack at a major institution, that can have ripple effects throughout the financial system. Could be through the payment system channel, it could be through liquidity provision channels. And so those ripple effects can be very, very large. If a bank has to cut itself off in order to protect the rest of the system from a cyber attack, that cutting off has ripple effects that could cause bank failures. And so we really need to be super attentive, not just to the immediate risks of a cyber attack, but to these potential ripple effects because of the tightly interconnected nature of the financial system.
Is 10 years out on the financial crisis, we still don't have the infrastructure perhaps to prevent the next one. And I think this is where digital assets can really help, because an efficient digital asset can really solve some of the key problems in global liquidity. The world's got trillions and trillions of dollars tied up in liquidity just to get around how clunky the movement of value is around the world. If with a really efficient digital asset, something like XRP, again, that's what we believe will be the most efficient, you can now reduce trillions and trillions of capital from being tied up. So you can make those transfers instantly as a bank or as a payment provider or as an enterprise without having to have money pre-positioned all over the world.
Notice. Right. And again, I'm not an expert on it, but I understand they approached us some time ago, but at the time they were battling some legal battle in the US.
Yes.
And our position to them was, look, come back to us once that's sorted out, because you only get one chance at a first impression. And if this court case doesn't go well for you, it wasn't going to go. So anyway, they got a good result in the US court case, and they approached us again. And look, we're going to have a bit more of a look at it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it, but we may look to promote their product. And again, it'll be buyer beware. We'll say to our members, look, here's this new technology. From what I can understand, it can generate real-time transfer of payments. And they seem to have a lot of checks and balances in place. At the briefing that I was at where I did that post, there was a lot of representatives from the major banks that were very interested in it. So it is a real thing.
That's right.
But how that translates to meaningful solutions for our members, we'll only understand that in a bit more time.
I think I've got a little bit more understanding of Ripple because I have been following the Ripple case since got into the dramas with the financial bodies in the US. That period of time for Ripple, it was when the whole world was still trying to grappling with the idea of what blockchain was and all that sort of stuff, and because you're really going outside of the banking system, right? And anything that goes out of the banking system, the governments don't like it, because they can't see it. But Ripple's difference compared to all the other blockchains is that other blockchains is a decentralized model, which means that no one party controls it, whereas Ripple is a centralized model. So they want regulation. They want to basically plug into the government system, use blockchain as a technology by way of payments getting transferred in an instant manner.
For city token services, for cash and for trade. So now what we can do is we can move tokenized deposits around cities, corridors. Right now it's just US and Singapore with aspirations of adding another 3 to 5 in the next near term. Well, it's great that we have this internal token, but our clients don't want a city token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity. So it's key that now that we have the infrastructure of the platform built internally, we work with like Regulated Liability Network and other participants about how do we solve these difficult issues as an industry. And there's still a lot of questions out there, but this FMI that RLN aspires to be is extremely positive because
I'm 54 years old, live in Los Angeles, California. I've been a tech executive for 30 years. I started with IBM, and I've worked for Accenture for quite some time. At the time that I was heavily investing in XRP, actually, and I've also worked for FIS. Some of you know, one of the largest payments provider. I no longer work at FIS. I'm building a tech startup right now, which I'll remain nameless at this point. So a lot of background in payments, but one of the things that Bob and I talked about some time ago when I was at Accenture, one of the things, I'm no longer on NDAs, but the one thing that I was able to do is Accenture, just like everyone else, has a Salesforce.com, which is a CRM, customer relationship management software. And I was, as an investor, was able to go into and look at, and this is a time where everybody was doubting, Ripple's not working with that many banks. And that's the time Brad Garlinghouse was saying, we're bringing on 2 new banks a week. And I could look in Salesforce.com because you wonder, how does a small startup like Ripple, who only has, at the time, 50 to 100 employees, how are they integrating these banks? Because that's a big project, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And the reason why they were getting them on so quickly is Accenture and IBM are the 2 largest tech integrators in the world. The Global 2000 use them for implementing any of the latest, greatest softwares. And so Accenture was a partner of Ripple, and I looked in our Salesforce.com, and I could see all 300 banks that Accenture had integrated for Ripple. Now, and I was pleasantly surprised at that. And we're talking big names. This was Bank of Australia, Bank of England, Bank of Canada, so on and so on. And so they're all primed, and they've been primed and ready to go since this was 2000, Bob, that was about 2016 I shared with you.
Yeah, I think it was 2017, 2018.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Minimum.
And I could see them all. They were all, and that means they're all primed and ready to go. So you've heard Mr. Schwartz talk about the flywheel effect. You've got to have liquidity on both sides for this thing to work. And so, while I can't speak to a flip the switch moment, I'm not an insider. I won't claim to be, but I can just see what's happening. That there is a moment where something happens where they all start using it. And Bob.
So technically, like a flip of the switch moment.
Yeah. And who's in control of that to say go? Your guess is as good as mine. But that could be the IMFs of the world, the BIS. All that, but. So that's all just Bob and I talked about. Bob, is that what you were hoping to hear from me?
Yeah, just because I remember like the last time we spoke, you just jumped on the space and you were like, "Hi guys, my name's Tony, this and that," and you just basically said like, I do believe in a flip of the switch moment, and you weren't necessarily alluding to like I know for a fact, but you were saying like I could see why something like this would like happen all at once, sort of thing.
I definitely could. So I'm on board with that theory as a plausible scenario for sure.
Once upon a time, the world of interbank payments was dominated by SWIFT, the global messaging network that connects banks and financial institutions. However, a new technology emerged, Ripple, and slowly but surely, it began to disrupt the industry. Ripple's blockchain-based platform allowed for near-instant and low-cost cross-border payments without the need for intermediaries. It also provided enhanced security and transparency, making it an attractive option for banks looking to improve their payment systems. As more and more banks began to adopt Ripple, its popularity grew, and it soon replaced SWIFT as the predominant interbank payment network. The benefits of Ripple's platform were simply too great to ignore. As Ripple became more widely adopted, the use of its digital asset XRP in the company's on-demand liquidity, ODL product, began to increase. ODL enables banks and financial institutions to use XRP as a bridge currency to facilitate cross-border payments, reducing the cost and time involved in such transactions. With banks using XRP and ODL, demand for the cryptocurrency increased, driving up its price. Institutions began buying XRP in large quantities to ensure they had enough liquidity to facilitate their payments. Investors also took notice, recognizing the potential of Ripple's technology to revolutionize the financial industry. They began buying up XRP in large volumes, causing its price to skyrocket even further. As Ripple continued to gain traction, it became clear that the financial industry would never be the same. The traditional methods of cross-border payments were being replaced by a faster, more efficient, and more secure system. In the end, Ripple's success led to a surge in the price of XRP, making it one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies on the market. The world of finance had been forever changed, thanks to the innovation of Ripple and the adoption of XRP in its ODL product.